I think I finally got this figured out. Well, yeah, let's go. This is one of those things where I feel like, do we really need to do it? But on the other hand, it's, to provide player interaction, so let's do it. Very well. Will the defense please present their relevant evidence? What was this insulator that was stuck in the locker door? Here you go. Yes, it's made out of rubber too, which is a good insulator of electricity. I don't know about insulating heat. That's a different problem. But electricity is the important part. I found this near the locker. A thin rubber glove. But we can't be sure that was in the victim's locker. It has a tag that says SL9 incident. The video seems to depict the victim opening the locker, but that isn't the case. The lit lamp attests to this. On the day of the crime, even I could have opened that locker. Is this not so, Officer Meekins?
Sir, it would appear so, sir.
Order, order, order. So, are we to believe then that the victim, whom this witness stabbed in the evidence room, was not Detective Goodman? Well, if we want to be really, really particular, we haven't technically proven that it wasn't him. We've just provided credible evidence that it didn't have to be him.
Do not be misled, Your Honor.
I think that's what Edgeworth's about to go for. Exactly what I just said, because he's so crafty. Oh boy. What do you mean, Mr. Edgeworth?
The defense has merely demonstrated that possibility, and nothing more. The victim in the video was indeed Bruce Goodman. The prosecution will offer one more testimony to prove this.
What?
Officer Meekins, please testify about this.
Sir? Me, sir? I'm not sure what you're referring to, sir. Oh, you mean that, sir? Of course, sir. Is this a joke? Very well, begin your testimony. Here we go. What else is he gonna go, Mr. Man 2? Okay, let's find out. There's one other thing that proves the man was Detective Goodman, sir. To enter the evidence room, one must use their ID card. When an ID card is used, there's a record of it. At the time of the crime, the detective had used his card. But, like, it could have just been stolen, Someone could have taken his card. Like, this is pretty flimsy in my mind, but okay. An ID card record. I see.
I have the ID card record right here, Your Honor.
Yeah, there he is, Bruce Goodman. 514.
The ID used at 514 is that of the victim.
Just before the crime, Yes, without a doubt this is the victim's ID. However, one thing does strike me as unusual. Several hundred cases should have been due for transferal. Why were there so few people using this room?
This particular evidence room is only used for storing certain special cases.
Special cases?
Extremely violent cases involving police staff.
Just hearing that makes my hair stand on end. Me too, although it doesn't make much of a difference. Oh, because his hair is super spiky.
There were only a few cases up for transferal there, and most were cleared up by noon.
Right, I see. Now let's just move on to the cross-examination.
Alright, now let's do the chat at the end first, so don't forget that.
Oh my god, I just realized. Maybe we can pin this somehow. Ah, fuck, I pressed the wrong button. Oh no, I skipped out everything because did I use the right item, actually?
That's hilarious, but I feel bad. I wanted to, like, do a little bit more pressing and, like, talking to Emma, but I think I accidentally used the right item at the right moment. Here's the thing, like, I was just thinking, could this lost item report have been for his missing ID card? It doesn't say what item was lost, though, so I don't know, but apparently I just speed ran through this. Oh, I feel so stupid, but I was like... I did the thing where I accidentally hit E when I wanted to do the check thing, which I've been telling myself not to do, but this time I accidentally bumbled myself into the right answer. Okay. Okay, sometimes that happens. I mean, you know, it's like, you know, monkeys on a typewriter. Like, if I screw up enough times hitting E when I'm supposed to hit check, at some point I accidentally hit E on the right item at the right point. Let's see, maybe I did screw up. Maybe I am completely off the kilter here. But, you know, it's kind of funny. It's like, it's kind of like even Phoenix is done with Meekins' bullshit, so he's just like not even bothering with the pressing. He's just like, let's get to the point. That's really funny. Wait one moment, Officer Meekins. I'm not good at waiting, sir. I have the victim's ID card right here. I found it at the crime scene. That makes sense. When I say crime scene, I'm not referring to the evidence room at the police department. I mean the other crime scene. The underground parking lot at the prosecutor's office. Your Honor, I have one more piece of evidence to present. It's a very important clue regarding the victim's ID card. A lost item report? It's only half completed. But it shows that Detective Goodman had lost something on the day of the crime. Something important enough to fill out this report. Let me guess. You believe this something to be his ID card, right?
I can't say for sure, but there is a high probability.
Man, I did not think this is what the item card thing would be going for, because I thought that, you know, it was being filled out by somebody else. Remember, I was a little confused by the number written on it. Man, the game is doing a good job of subverting my guesses. I'm pretty happy with that, even though I feel like an idiot, but, you know.
On the day of the crime, Detective Goodman was not carrying his card.
Order, order! So now, what does this all mean?
It can only mean one thing. It doesn't even require much thought. The man Officer Meekins encountered in the evidence room was not Detective Goodman, but rather the man who stole his ID card.
Order, order, order! Does the prosecution have a response?
I have only one thing to say to the defense.
Huh?
Bravo, Mr. Wright.
Bravo?
Allow me to summarize the defense's argument. At 5:15 p.m. on the day of the crime, the man in the evidence room Officer Meekins encountered was not Detective Goodman. There are two grounds to support this. First, the locker in the evidence room was already unlocked. Second, the victim lost his ID card. Am I correct so far, Mr. Wright?
Yes? What's he up to?
That being the case, we must inevitably arrive at a single conclusion. If the victim in this video is a fake, then the murder in the evidence room is also a fake. In other words, the security camera does not show the instant of the murder.
That is... Well, I guess that's right.
Is something wrong, Mr. Wright? Only moments ago you seemed content to be pointing your finger around.
This isn't going to end well.
Well, well, it seems you've finally realized exactly what you've gone to such lengths to prove.
Explain yourself, Mr. Edgeworth.
The defense has already done the explaining for me. The victim in this video is a fake, which means a murder did not take place at the police department at 5:15 on the day of the crime.
So
the real crime could only take place at one location, the underground parking lot at the prosecutor's office. The murderer being Miss Lana Skye, the defendant. The evidence is compelling.
This is pretty cool, because I was so wrapped up, just like Phoenix was in disproving the evidence room murder, but now I've just made the murder at the parking lot feel stronger, you know? The evidence for it. This is all super fishy, and like, there is some kind of setup going on, because that's too big of a coincidence that some guy would decide to impersonate Goodman with the ID card, and the locker would be jammed. Like, more likely would be he'd go in the evidence room and be unable to open the locker because it'd be locked. You know, that's as far as he'd get, the impersonator. But somehow, by sheer happenstance, the locker is also jammed, allowing him to access it? Nah. Something super fishy is going on there. So, obviously, this isn't clear-cut yet, but I understand also what Edgeworth is doing. This is a very good 4D chess move right here that he is pulling on, like, kind of supporting the previous murder case that was left rather unsolved. Oh boy. I like this a lot. This is so cool. Man, it's so funny. I thought that this case wouldn't live up to the first four, being like the extra case. I'm so wrapped up in this.
The evidence is compelling. A trustworthy witness observed the moment the defendant used the murder weapon.
I knew that testimony was way too shabby. It was all a trap from the beginning.
the activity in the evidence room still leaves many questions unanswered.
Yeah, here we go, Judge. He's going to tell us what the problems are.
Who exactly was the victim Officer Meekins encountered? And where did this person disappear to? However, this trial's purpose is to examine only the murder of Detective Goodman.
Oh, geez, but, you know, again, so much setting up. Like, this is still involved, you know? A guy was impersonating him, so, you know, that can't be ignored as part of the actual murder, you know? But that's what Edgeworth's gonna go for, because Edgeworth's gonna Edgeworth.
Just so, Your Honor.
Mr. Wright, you have to do something, or else Lana...
What do I do? How am I supposed to get myself out of this mess? Is this the point where we pull out the Marshall handprint thing? Oh no. But we can't play passive though. Objection! One moment, Your Honor.
What now, Mr. Wright? Don't tell me you're objecting to what you've just proven.
That's a good point. Freaking Edgeworth again, freaking with the wins here. Sorry, taking another drink. I gotta do it on these Phoenix Wright recordings. Whee. Of course not. But I almost walked right into the prosecution's trap.
What are you talking about?
This cross-examination has proven one thing and one thing only. The security video did not show the actual murder. Yep, here we go again. Yep, no murder happening here, as far as we can tell. Man, that coat is annoying, now that I think about it. Like, it's such a red herring. That's like an unnecessary red herring, but... Okay. However, it cannot be said that it is unrelated to the murder in the parking lot. Specifically, large amounts of blood traces were found in the evidence room. The defense demands further examination into the truth of the matter.
Mr. Edgeworth,
Yes, Your Honor?
If this court were to examine this further, other witnesses will be necessary. Is the prosecution prepared?
I'm sorry, Your Honor. The prosecution considered the incident at the police department to be unrelated. We have not prepared any other witnesses for this incident.
This just might be my chance. Time to call a certain Texas Ranger to the stand.
Mr. Wright, do you mean...
Your Honor, the defense would like to request a specific witness.
Oh? Whom do you have in mind?
Someone we have reason to believe knows the truth. The truth behind the activities that took place in the evidence room.
The prosecution requests to hear this person's name before deciding whether or not to comply.
I think this is some kind of... This is again somehow going into Japanese court of law. Like, it doesn't seem like the prosecution can just be like, nope, can't have that witness, you know? Like, at least in the, like, law that I understand. But, again, as I've understood, Japanese court of law has favored the prosecution in a lot of ways. At least in the past, so that might be accurate for that. But, like, I don't think... that seems super fishy in my understanding of court proceedings, that the prosecution could just deny a witness just like that, so arbitrarily. But yeah, let's go.
Very well then, Mr. Wright. This person whom you would have testified, what is his or her name?
Okay, kind of odd again that they force us to do this, given that we just called out Texas Ranger. Well, I have been given a bit of a southern twang for Lana, but I don't think I've been going for exactly Texas with that, so I don't know. You be the judge. You tell me if I sound particularly Texan with that voice or not. I think it has to be a bit slower, you know, a bit more drawlier if I'm gonna do a Texas voice. But anyway, yeah, Jake Marshall, let's go. Officer Jake Marshall.
Why him?
I can't let Edgeworth know everything just yet. He's in charge of the evidence room. I feel we should hear what he has to say. Man, now Phoenix is playing aggressive, just being like, I'm gonna deny evidence until a critical moment. That is, wow, sneaky, Phoenix.
The prosecution agrees to the defense's request.
Oh, is the implication that if we mentioned the blood stain, Edgeworth would just be like, oh, no, denied. So, yeah.
Since he was responsible for guarding the room, we should hear his testimony. Fortunately, he works in the police department. We shouldn't need longer than 20 minutes to prepare.
Very well. The court will take a 30-minute recess while the witness is subpoenaed. Subpoopenied. Subpoodled. Will the prosecution please prepare the witness during this time?
We will, Your Honor.
Court is now in recess.
This is going to places, isn't it? What's Lana got to say about all this? This should be interesting. We did almost just, like, solidify the case against her, which she might like, since she has still been admitting to the murder. So, we'll see. There's no stopping you, is there, Mr. Rat? Huh? What do you mean? You called for Jake Marshall. It seems you figured everything out. I haven't figured out anything. Oh, I haven't figured anything out.
Lana, you're the one who knows everything.
Emma.
You always know everything. Why don't you just tell us? Mr. Wright is trying his hardest to protect you.
I don't recall ever asking for his protection.
How can you be so cold? Don't you trust us? Don't you trust me?
Ho hope I'm not interrupting anything, pals.
Freaking Gumshoe with the interrupt.
Oh, guess I am. I'll come back later.
Wait, Detective Gumshoe, what is it?
I was allowed like, wow, was that actually just it? Okay, then. Alright, let's see. What's Gumshoe got shaking?
You've got a lot of nerve, pal, making a detective run all around while on duty. And to top it off, you call me here. I've seen happier people at funerals.
Sorry, Detective.
You better be, pal. Hey! Hey! I didn't see you there, Chief Prosecutor Sky.
That's okay. So, have you brought what I asked?
No. You mean this, right?
My apologies, Detective. Due to my present circumstances, I was forced to use Mr. Wright's name when making my request.
My name? Never in a million years would I have thought it was you who asked me. Could I bother you to bring me the SL9 incident files? I'll need them by noon. Talk about crazy.
The SL9 incident? But Lana, that's...
I thought Mr. Wright might need them, so I had them brought here. Here, you might do well to read them.
I can't believe you, the chief prosecutor, were a witness in that case.
Miss Sky was a witness?
This is an important new fact, actually. Interesting. Files for the Joe Dark killings solved 2 years ago. Joe, wow.
Take it from me, you don't want anything to do with serial murders. Oh, what? Now that I've brought you your stuff, you're just gonna ignore me?
Emma? But why? Why is your name in here?
Oh my god, I've forestalled it too long. What does this thing say? Can we read it already? We can. Ooh, let's go. So, incident number SL9 closed. Perpetrator Joe Dark. Crime serial murder. Sentence death. The victims are Edward Jones, Edith Kirby, Jeb Bates, Jason Knight, Rachel Moss, Neil Marshall. Neil Marshall? No, it's Jake Marshall is the officer marshal. For a second I was like, what? But still, is that sounds like an important information that I'm glad I looked up, so we're not doing a repeat of that time I had to try and guess what the contents of the not the DL6, the DL6 file. Yeah, I completely forgot to read that thing, and I had to guess what the contents were. Let's see. So trial data. Head prosecutor, Miles Edgeworth. Witnesses, Lana Sky and Emma Sky. Okay, both of the Skys were there. Investigation Task Force is executive investigators Damon Gant and Lana Sky. Interesting. The head investigator was Bruce Goodman, and the investigators were Jake Marshall and Angel Starr. So that all we knew, of course, that those three, that's what Angel Starr told us. Interesting. I'm not surprised that Gant and Sky were involved. This witness stuff is fascinating, and this Marshall being in the victims, also fascinating. These are super important details that I kind of hate that I'm finding out here towards the end of the episode, because now I risk forgetting them by next episode. I mean, we're not done yet. I'm still playing for a little bit longer, but like I know we're probably not going to use those yet by the time I end the episode for today. And then next week I'm going to be like, was there something about SL9 I needed to remember? I'll try to remember. Don't worry. We'll do this.
What? My name's in there? I don't know. Unless... No, it couldn't be. Lana, this SL9 incident, is that...
That's the classification number the police filed it under. 2 years ago, the rest of the world knew it as the Joe Dark killings.
The Joe Dark? No. No, Lana! That's over with! No!
Emma, wait! She ran away. You know what? I just remembered. I gotta be somewhere. Sorry, pal, but I'm out of here.
Freaking gumshoe. Oh man, he's so good.
Jake Marshall, Angel Starr, Damon Gant, Miles Edgeworth. Not to mention Lana and Emma. Everyone involved in this case is connected to those killings 2 years ago. This can't be just a coincidence.
Knowing you just might be able to figure it out. Time to get back to the trial, Mr. Wright. Best of luck.
I'd better take a good look at this file.
Well, we just did it a second ago, but we are to be continued. Geez, got 5 minutes of episode time left. I kinda don't want to leave the episode this short. This is, let's see if there's a good moment to call it here in the courtroom. I'll carry just a little bit longer.
The court will now reconvene for the trial of Miss Lana Skye.
Emma didn't come back. Yeah, it looked like Phoenix was all alone there, which feels quite sad again. Ugh. Weird how it just feels so reassuring to have another person there rooting for you, even though, like, you know, Mia or Maya or Emma don't do a whole lot. Well, I mean, they always help out in critical moments, so I shouldn't say that. Now then. Allow me to call the next witness to the stand. The officer in charge of guarding the evidence room on the day of the crime. Hey, you can't drink on the evidence stand, you crazy cowboy. Witness, please state your name and occupation.
Me, partner? Oh, I'm just a man, same as you, wandering the trails of civilization.
Occasionally helping the elderly cross intersections when needed. Yes, we get it.
Oh, I know. You're a patrolman.
As for my name, if you listen hard enough, you can hear the howling wind calling it out.
To be exact, it's Jake Marshall, Your Honor.
Howling wind? I've never heard Edgeworth described that way before. Because Howling Wind just said his name.
That's pretty good. Now, Mr. Marshall, let me ask you something. You were in charge of guarding the evidence room on the day the crime took place. Is this correct?
According to the papers, partner.
What do you mean?
The desperado's soul is as boundless as the desert sands. No paper can sum it up.
Maybe it's best we get on with this quickly. Please share with us your testimony of the day of the crime. In plain old English.
Well, let's get to it. The day of the crime.
My job was to keep a wary eye on that bone orchard.
They said I was supposed to make rounds 3 times a day, but that ain't my style. Besides, the room's protected by 2 security systems anyway. If I remember right, I was at a street-side saloon at the time it went down. I'm just an innocent trailing man, so if you're out of ammo, it's time I hit the trail.
I can't say I particularly care for your attitude.
I can't say I care for your beard, but you don't see me complaining.
And then he taunts him with his shaving at the same time. God damn.
Wait a minute. What do you mean by 2 security systems?
I mean the security cameras and the ID card reader. I reckon even a cowpoke like you knows about those. Yes, well, what about the fingerprint-activated locks on the evidence lockers?
Fingerprint-activated locks? What kind of newfangled doohickeys are those?
Is not being very helpful.
He's not that good with machines, or with following orders. Everyone's got their weaknesses, now don't they, Mr. Prosecutor?
This one seems like trouble. Okay, Mr. Wright, he's all yours.
And that's going to happen next time. This is the classic got the testimony, time for a cross-examination cliffhanger. It's a classic Cliffy. So, next time we're going to take old Marshall out for our ride out back behind the shed. No, that sounds like I'm going to kill him. Whoa. Let's back things up a little bit. I'm just going to, squeeze him for his worth when it comes to this crime and everything and whatnot. So, hope you all look forward to it next time. I am so jazzed. See you all then, guys. Bye.